The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Good afternoon and welcome, everyone. My name is Aubrey McLaughlin, and I am the Director of Alumni Professional Networks for the University of Maryland's Alumni Association. We are excited that you're able to join us for today's webinar, Growing Your Sales in the Amazon Marketplace, presented by Phil Masiello, graduate from the MBA class of 1992. This webinar is part of the Alumni Association's Professional Development webinar series, in which we hope to provide thought-provoking and valuable content that will help alumni like you achieve personal and professional goals. We have a lot of information to cover today, but we will take questions at the end. Feel free to submit any questions using the question box located in the GoToWebinar control panel. Phil is an author, entrepreneur, marketing expert, and the founder of Hound Dog Digital Marketing Agency, one of the fastest growing marketing agencies in the nation. The firm specializes in assisting consumer product companies with their e-commerce efforts, mobile application marketing, and Amazon Marketplace seller marketing. Phil is also the founder and CEO of several disruptive business models. Prior to Hound Dog Digital Marketing, he was a founder and CEO of 800razors.com, Raw Beauty Inc., Matro Marketing, and The Daily Market. Phil holds an MBA in Finance and Marketing and has remained active in the university's entrepreneurial programs and is an active advisor and mentor to several incubators in the Baltimore-Washington marketplace. And now we will get started. Phil, take it away.
Oh, thank you. Thanks a lot. And thank you all for joining us. I know you're busy. I don't know how many people are in the Northeast who had a beautiful, lovely snowstorm to bring in spring, but that's it's always a fun way to start the spring. I'm going to make sure, I know everybody's time is valuable, so I'm going to make sure this is a good use of your time. This webinar is Growing Your Sales on the Amazon Marketplace. It's broken into two parts. The second part next week will be the same time and the same channel. So we're going to cover a lot of ground. I'm going to show you some things that you won't find anywhere else in the Amazon selling world that a lot of people don't talk about the same way that I do. And I'm going to explain some things that you may not realize impact your success on Amazon. You'll benefit the most attending both parts. The first part today is really about setting the foundation for success. Next week, we'll get into effective advertising and promotion to build your brand profitably. So let's get started. We have a few questions. If you could answer them, that would be great. It's just two quick questions. The first one is, are you presently selling on Amazon? So let's, once we get the answers, good, looks like about 78% have voted. So it looks like more than half of the folks are selling on Amazon. So the second question is really, how are you selling on Amazon? So if you could answer that, that'd be great. Looks like a lot of FBA, a lot of fulfilled by Amazon, a lot of fulfilled by merchant. That's fantastic. The fulfilled by Amazon and fulfilled by merchant people will definitely get a lot out of this. Yeah, so 77% of the people are fulfilled by Amazon, 23% fulfilled by merchant. So that's a great thing, because we're not really going to focus on vendor central in this. We're focused primarily on fulfilled by Amazon, fulfilled by merchant. Vendor central is really a traditional supplier retailer model, and that's that you're not really a seller, you're just a vendor to Amazon. So okay, so the Amazon, so if you have any type of physical product, whether it's consumer product or even B2B, you need to add Amazon as another selling channel. Over 50% of Amazon's sales come from third-party sellers. And Amazon accounts for 44%. I'm sure a lot of you guys know a lot of this information, but Amazon accounts for 44% of all US e-commerce sales and 4% of all total retail sales. Over 6.5 million site visits a day. 49% of all US households have a Prime membership. And 60% of all product searches begin on Amazon. So what does all this mean? It means that That's where the customer is. So you want to sell where the customer is buying. I'm not going to preach to you that Amazon is the be all end all and that you should not focus on any other channel, just focus on Amazon. That's not at all what I preach. What I talk about is thinking about Amazon differently than you have before, thinking about Amazon as a way to acquire customers for your brand for less than you can acquire elsewhere. Think about Amazon as a brand building and customer acquisition tool. My name is Phil Masiello. As we've already discussed, I've been a multi-million-dollar and multinational seller on Amazon since 2007, and I've been building online and multi-channel brands since the late 90s. I've done it in beauty, fashion, food, shaving, many other segments. And presently, I'm the founder and CEO of Hound Dog Digital Marketing Agency, and our focus is helping e-commerce and retail brands from anywhere from startups to the Fortune 100 improve their direct-to-consumer sales strategy and execution online, on the Amazon marketplace, and on the other marketplaces. But I've always viewed Amazon differently. I use Amazon to build a brand, not as a reseller. I don't want to be a reseller, and we'll go into that as to why. I use Amazon to acquire customers for my brand, and it's a different way of thinking, and you'll see as we go along. So in order for you to sell successfully on Amazon, you really need to understand what Amazon is and what it isn't. And I want to dispel some rumors about Amazon that stop people from using Amazon to its fullest. The first thing you need to understand as a seller is Amazon is a customer-focused company, and they expect the same from the sellers. Right? Amazon views seller ratings, product ratings as important metrics to determine how well products and sellers are engaging with their customers. They also expect high ratings for themselves. So whenever a seller calls for assistance, they get the opportunity to rate the Amazon response. And anytime you buy anything from Amazon, you get the opportunity to rate them. So Amazon practices what it preaches. If it's going to hold you responsible for ratings, it's also going to hold itself responsible for ratings. And it's a very big component to the customer experience. Amazon's growth rate has really been tremendous over the last few years, right? It's 24% annual growth rate compounded. And most analysts believe this is just going to continue to increase as Amazon enters physical retail with things like the purchase of Whole Foods, and there's speculation that they're probably going to buy Kohl's or another major retailer. The next frontier is voice search through the Alexa devices. And they continue their push with artificial intelligence integrations in the product search side, and they're continuing to refine delivery to give the right solution to the customer search. At this time, there are over 90 million Prime subscribers. But think about this: Prime is not about free 1 or 2 day shipping. That's the first thing everybody thinks about, but it's not. Prime is a retention tool that keeps customers tied to Amazon. So Amazon Prime, which began, I think, back in 2005, started with free 2 day shipping, but now it has over 24, 25 other benefits to the customers. It took Walmart until 2017 to implement free 2 day shipping, and they put a $30 minimum on it. So over all that time, the other retailers have allowed Amazon to use Prime to become deeply embedded in the consumer's behavior. And it'll be very difficult for any competitor to penetrate that. The point is, as much as the other marketplaces like Jet and Walmart, Rakuten, they're never going to be able to build the trust and loyalty that Amazon has built with the consumer. So as an e-commerce company or as a seller, tying your wagon to Amazon in a different way will benefit you in the long run. And again, I'm not saying you put all your eggs in that basket. What I am saying is use Amazon to build your brand, use Amazon to acquire customers for less money than you can anywhere else online. I love this quote from Bezos, because Amazon has gotten criticized for its low profitability over the years. And Amazon takes every dollar that it makes and reinvests in things that the customer values. And that's what makes them a great company. And they will be for years to come. Amazon's building its own delivery system now. Why? Because UPS, FedEx, and USPS can't do it as well as they can. These other companies They weren't living up to the customer expectations for delivery. Right? Shipping is a major part of customer service. It's a major expense for all of us, for Amazon as well as any e-commerce guy. So they're going to control that experience, and they've rolled out Vendor Flex and Seller Flex, where they'll even pick up products from a 3PL, from a third-party logistics house, and deliver those as well. But I just love this quote where it's impossible to imagine a future 10 years from now where a customer comes up and says, Jeff, I love Amazon. I just wish the prices were a little higher. I love Amazon. I just wish you deliver them more slowly. He said it's impossible. So the effort they put into those things, spinning those things up, they know that it's going to have a payoff in the next 10 years. So now that we sort of have an understanding of the Amazon landscape, let's start looking at how to approach Amazon selling, right? So why should you sell your brand on Amazon? It's the first stop for the consumer. Customers trust Amazon. It's where the customer is. But it's also not just for consumers, right? Amazon now has a B2B portal. They have a small business portal. Amazon wants to dominate the retail landscape. They really want to be the Costco, the Amazon, the Walmart, all rolled up into one. As they start to get into food delivery, same-day shipping, same-day delivery is just going to become a reality. And again, it's a way for them to endear themselves to the customer. Very difficult for the competitors to encroach on it. But the biggest reason that you should sell on Amazon is because you'll get a lower conversion cost on Amazon. Customers trust Amazon. So when a customer sees a new product from a new brand, they'd rather purchase it on Amazon over directly from a website, because they know that if anything goes wrong, Amazon will take care of them. So understanding this behavior is an opportunity for you to think differently about it, think differently about your approach, and for you to use Amazon to acquire new customers to build your brand and your business. I want to talk about a couple of myths that people talk about. We hear them a lot about what people think about selling on Amazon. The first one, we've heard it for years. If I do well, Amazon's going to steal my brand. Amazon has never stolen a brand as far as I can tell, and I've never heard of them stealing a brand. They certainly have not been sued for it. But if you do really well, they may acquire your brand at a very fair price, as they did with Zappos. They did it with diapers.com. Most recently, they bought Ring for $1 billion. So, how would they steal your brand? It just doesn't make sense. I can't make a profit selling on Amazon. Profitability is up to you and your costs. I've been in e-commerce since the 90s, and I have had my own warehouses. I've handled my own shipping. I could never warehouse inventory, warehouse supplies, have staff, pick, pack, and ship an item for the fee that Amazon charges, and I could never do it as fast. But maybe you have a supply chain advantage because you're the manufacturer, or you've got a multi-channel distributor, and you can do it for less, and that's fine. There's a selling option out there for you, fulfilled by merchant, right? But at the end of the day, profitability is totally in your control. Amazon owns the customer. Yes, it's true. But if you do a good job and you provide a quality product and you communicate with your customers, the customer's not stupid. They may make their first purchase from Amazon, but they'll seek you out to learn more, because your website, your social media all work together, So the customer may make that first purchase, but if they're happy and you do a good enough job of communicating with them and you present yourself well in a quality, your second purchase, your third purchase, more than likely going to come directly from you. And I'll talk about merchandise and how to sort of implement that and how to sort of make that happen in a little while. If you get on Amazon and you just treat your store like an Amazon store, it's just another place to get sales, then you'll be at a disadvantage. You're 100% right. You're never going to be able to convert those customers. But if you approach your Amazon effort as building a consistent storefront, consistent with your retail store, with your e-commerce store, with your social media, you build that storefront as an extension of your existing brand. Then that becomes using the Amazon platform to acquire customers. Then you'll be very successful, right? You're presenting yourself in a different way. You're saying, hey, you can't go out and solicit those people. You can't put your website address on, but there are things you can do. And again, the customer's not stupid. They see your brand. They see how well you produce it, right? Customers look, and they before they buy, They go to people's websites, they go and look before they make that purchase decision. They may buy, again, they may buy it on Amazon, but you're the first purchase, but you're going to lock that customer in. So again, customers are very hesitant in this day and age to try an unknown company and give over their credit card information directly on a website. That's why customer acquisition costs online are so high, but they trust Amazon. So if you can get your first sale through Amazon and the customer gets a great experience, you'll convert those buyers to your buyers. I mean, think about this: Ghost Bed, Tuft and Needle, Anchor Batteries. These guys are all brands that started out on Amazon. Now look at them; they're multiple $100 million e-commerce companies. They all started on Amazon with an Amazon store. So it can be done. You can build a brand. You can acquire customers. The next one, customers want the cheapest product. No, that's not true. Customers want the best value, and they want the least amount of headaches. What goes into that value is ratings, how your website, how your social media pages look, as well as how you present yourself on Amazon, because they all work together. There are a lot of listings on Amazon that look sketchy, right? We've all seen them. Bad images, not a lot of information, but they have a cheap price. But when you really, really look, they don't convert. And they don't convert because customers want value. They don't want a bad product. They don't want a bad experience, even on Amazon. Amazon has too many restrictions to make my business work. You have to comply with Amazon's terms of service, but that's the same for any platform, Shopify or Magento, any of them. But Amazon has a dashboard with metrics, and you can see how you're doing every single day. If you don't do a good job, you'll have a tough time succeeding, but that holds true for your own website. Amazon just wants you to deliver a great product, great customer service, on time, great ratings, and if you do that, you'll be fine. Amazon wants sellers to succeed. You're not going to hear that a lot, and you don't hear that a lot, but they really, really do. How do I know? Because Bezos showed us himself. I don't know how many of you are familiar with the famous Bezos napkin sketch, but this is how Bezos envisioned the Amazon marketplace when they started to bring on sellers. And it's really interesting. Bezos sees sellers as providing the selection Amazon wants and needs. That provides a greater customer experience, which increases traffic, which leads to growth, which leads to a low-cost infrastructure, which lowers prices, which provides a better customer experience, and on and on and on. So it's a continuum, right? What Amazon does not want are bad sellers. They want to weed out the bad sellers, foster the good sellers. Whenever I hear someone tell me about how awful their experience was on Amazon, I can always find the root cause: it's bad selling. I've never heard a good seller complain. So I want to talk real quick about selling brands versus reselling. Resellers are companies that sell anything they can get their hands on. They'll sell any product as long as they can buy it right. This is where you see a lot of competition for a product. You see this a lot with commodity products and brands that didn't control who can sell for them. I personally like to focus on building brands. And even as a reseller, you can build brands, right? You can build your own brands instead of just trying to push through volume, right? So I like to focus on building and selling brands, not just reselling whatever comes my way. Reselling is tough. It's very tough to make a profit, and you have to stay on your toes. You have to do a lot of online arbitrage to find the product at the right price. And I know some very big resellers do tens, hundreds of millions of dollars in sales, but they have very, very small profit margins. They have a fight for the buy box constantly, and you need some sort of a supply chain advantage to be successful. But when you're a brand, you have total control over your product presentation on the marketplace. You can have no competitors for your brand if you do things correctly. You can use Amazon to grow your sales for your brand. And this is why your website, your social media, they're all so important, and they work together. And you have to have an infrastructure to support and support your brand building efforts. Amazon wants brand sellers over resellers, and resellers are vulnerable today. I mean, just look at what happened with Nike last year. Nike decided that they were going to sell their products on Amazon. And there were hundreds of resellers who were selling Nike product. Amazon wanted Nike, and Nike said, we're not going to compete with all these resellers. So overnight, Amazon sent messages to all resellers that they can no longer sell those Nike products. And so Nike now is what's called a gated brand. as are all the Procter & Gamble products like Gillette and things like that. And there's a lot of smaller brands that are gated like Juice Beauty and things like this. So, you can see what's happening with Amazon, and you can see how quality is becoming more and more important. Brand selling is becoming more and more important. Your focus on how you sell. Right? Resellers were the biggest part of the marketplace in the early days, and there are hundreds of resellers. But that also led to two major problems: counterfeit products and abnormally low prices. So Amazon began protecting brands with systems like the brand registry. They also cracked down hard on counterfeit products, and they started restricting resellers that don't meet the expectations. So this has led to sort of an evolving marketplace where brands are more important. Brands, I do hold the brands, national brands, sort of responsible for their own problem because they're partially to blame. If you're a national brand, and you decide, you always decide which brick and mortar retailers can sell your product, and you restrict brick and mortar retailers who don't adhere to your brand elements or don't adhere to your map pricing. But when it came to the internet, it was a wide open game. So smart brands restrict where their brands can be sold, who can sell them, and at what price. So if you have a brand and you're a company and you're a CEO and you own a brand, why would you want to compete with yourself on the Amazon marketplace? There's nothing that says you can't limit the number of sellers and where they can sell online. So now we're going to get into sort of the meat of the whole thing. So let's talk about what it takes to succeed on Amazon. There are three keys to success. First, the customer experience is everything. And it affects you in more ways than you think. Bad sellers with a rating lower than a 4 get their products pushed down in the rankings. They pay more for ads and they have a difficult time winning the buy box. So even with the cheapest price. So all of those ratings matter, not only to the consumer, but they matter in the A9 algorithm. If you have a product also rating below 3.6, you're shut out of lightning deals, daily deals, and other important ad opportunities. So ratings matter a lot. Again, not just to the consumer, but to the A9 algorithm. So that's why Amazon puts so much effort on ratings. Right? So the higher your ratings, the better you do at selling, the better you do at keeping inventory in stock, on-time delivery, customer response rates, things like that, the better your opportunities to grow your sales. It's actually going to be less expensive. Success is also measured by the second part, relevance and performance. The A9 algorithm uses these metrics to rank and show your product. Your title, how optimized is your title, your brand, the bullet points, images, description, your back-end keywords, your sales velocity, your sales history, inventory, fulfillment, price, conversion rate, your seller feedback score, your product reviews. These are all part of the A9 algorithm. We're going to go a little bit more deep in a second. The third part, success creates more success. So from Amazon's perspective, lower costs drive lower prices, which drives higher growth, which drives lower costs. Shipping is the biggest cost, labor second biggest. So the more volume, the lower your costs can be leveraged. From the seller's perspective, more sales drive higher rankings, which drives better placement, which drives more sales. That's it in a nutshell. So just to put it all together, the A9 algorithm explains for anybody, when you create compelling and optimized listings, okay? When you know your keywords, when you've optimized your title, your bullet points, etc., you'll get more conversions and sales. When your sales increase, that product will rank higher. When that product ranks higher, it gets better organic search placement. With better organic search placement, a product sells more. When a product sells more, it ranks higher. When it ranks higher, it shows up higher. When it shows up higher, it sells more. So it's a very dynamic world. The A9 algorithm is rewarding you for doing a good job. It's rewarding you for building great pages, for building a great storefront, for building optimized pages, really understanding your keywords. And in the back end, when you're setting up an item, those last two tabs, the one for your product description, for your keywords, things like that, there's a whole bunch of little places that you can add information that most people just bypass. If you can fill it in, if there's a database opportunity to fill something in on the back end of Amazon, fill it in, because all that stuff matters. Because again, Amazon is trying to deliver the best result to the consumer who's making the search. This is what your Amazon flywheel will look like. So we showed you what Bezos' napkin sketch looked like, but this is what your Amazon flywheel will look like. And I want to point out, everything revolves around great customer experience, right? So in the top left-hand side, we have discovery initiatives, right? What we refer to as Amazon SEO, your title, your bullet points, your keywords. Then we have across from it traffic drivers. These are Amazon ads. Headline search ads, display ads, sponsored ads. That's where you spend money. But I always profess, never spend a dime until you've got all these other pieces working. Right? Don't spend a dime until your pages are optimized, because you're going to wind up overspending on every click. Right? So unless you have all your content in place, etc. Don't worry about spending money yet. So conversion drivers, bottom right-hand corner, these are also part of SEO. This is how much content you have on your page. Photos matter, right? Not just to the consumer making the decision, but also part of the algorithm is Amazon gives you nine opportunities to put photos in. Use at least 6. Anything less than that, it really does hurt your ranking. If there's an opportunity to enhance brand content pages or A+ pages to use video, try and use it. Right? All these things, Q&As, the more you get, the better off you are. So again, non-paid, that's non-paid. This is just work. Discovery, conversion, these are work. Reviews, very important, right? Trying to get customer reviews, you have to work at it. You have to have an autoresponder email system in place, because you want to be able to provide that great customer experience and tell the customer after they've received the product, hey, we're here for you, explain a little bit about your brand, why you're great, why the customer made the right decision, and then ask for the review. So if you have an autoresponder email system set up through the Amazon API, there are a couple of products out there that do this, then you ask for that review. Don't be shy about asking for a review, but give something to the customer first. You're giving them the reason, you're reinforcing to them the reason that they made the great decision. So all these things working together, you'll wind up paying less for your ads. That's why I say don't spend dime one on display ads until you've got all these other pieces in place, because it'll really save you money. And I've proven it over and over and over again. We have one client, we're in a very competitive world. The average click costs are $2, $3, $4, even higher in some cases for some of the strong keywords, and we bid 60 cents across the board, and we get sales through it. The reason is because we're continually, we don't just set it and forget it. We go in constantly and fix title, bullet points, everything. The way the pages, we're always optimizing pages. It's one of the most important things. The other question now is, what type of seller do you want to be? Because that has an impact, right? Fulfilled by Amazon, this is where you ship your product to Amazon, Amazon ships it to the customer. You can go directly from your supplier to Amazon or from your warehouse. Amazon handles all the inventory, the pick, pack, and ship, customer service. Your products are prime listed right from the get-go. Amazon handles payment processing for you. Generally, it's about 15% of sales. Sometimes it's lower, sometimes it's higher, but you get paid every 2 weeks. You have a full accounting dashboard to balance your books. Amazon will even collect sales tax where you have tax nexus. So you would need to compare your shipping costs of what you're doing with e-commerce or 3PL costs to Amazon and determine if this is the best solution for you. But just remember, Amazon's handling all of your pick, pack, and ship and customer service. So it's sort of a big deal, right? Then you have fulfilled by merchant, where customers order on Amazon, but you ship to the customer. So you handle all the inventory, the pick, pack, the ship. You handle the customer service. Amazon still handles the payment and processing for, it's about 5 or 6% of sales. You get paid every 2 weeks. You have full accounting. Amazon will collect the sales tax where you have tax nexus, but you don't get Prime with FBM right off the bat. You have to apply for it. You have to have a history of good metrics, and you have to have a very streamlined supply chain. Your inventory, your warehouse system, it all has to be good. But if your strength is supply chain and you can do it for less, more power to you. Then you can apply for Prime, and that's great. I was just never a supply chain guy. I've always been a marketing guy. So to me, warehousing and things like that were always a very difficult piece. Then there's fulfilled by merchant with Prime. You have much stricter Amazon rules for customer service response, shipping turnaround, delivery expectations, and you need to maintain your metrics or you'll lose your Prime. And I apologize for this slide. I know it's sort of small, but this just shows you your dashboard when you're fulfilled by merchant with Prime. You've got all these pieces that you have to pay attention to constantly. Your fulfillment rates, your whether you have valid tracking codes, your feedback, your negative feedback, your response time to customers, customer service to satisfaction rate. But also remember this, when you're fulfilled by Amazon, if a package goes out late and the customer sends in a bad rating, whether it's a seller rating or a product rating, and says, I never received the product and I'm giving you a 1 rating, or I never, or the product came late, or there was a problem with the package, that rating comes off of you. Amazon takes care of that and says that wasn't really your fault since we're handling your fulfillment. But if you're fulfilled by merchant, that stays on your ratings. And we all know customers have this expectation, that a very high expectation about what fast shipping is. So again, these are considerations for how you wanna sell, and it matters because if you really can't maintain a lot of these ratings, it's going to hurt your selling ability online. The fulfilled by Amazon dashboard, it's much simpler, right? You've got to you still have to answer any questions that come to the customer, so you've got to respond within 24 hours. But your performance are really based on order defects and shipping in defects and negative feedback. So fulfilled by Amazon, I've always been a fulfilled by Amazon seller, just because for me it's easier. I'd rather focus on marketing and driving sales than have to worry about shipping. But again, if you've already got that in place, use it. So the first step to really succeed is to build and protect your brand. And it's amazing to me how many people don't trademark their brand or enter it into the brand registry when you're selling. It's the first thing you can do, because that's going to allow you to control your brand on the platform. And that's something you want, because you want to minimize any type of counterfeiting or anybody who's trying to knock off your brand, or anybody who's trying to feed off your success. So once you're in the brand registry, you can aggressively shut down any unauthorized sellers quickly. You should use MAP pricing wherever you can for any other seller to make sure that you have sort of brand consistency, pricing consistency across all platforms. And that's really what you want. You want your brand to be viewed across all platforms, your website, social media, on Amazon, etc., the exact same way. And that's going to really build your customer engagement. When you join the brand registry, it's more than just your brand, because this is a tool. Yes, Amazon put it in place to protect brands from counterfeiters and resellers who are not authorized. But in addition to that control, there are marketing and advertising opportunities that open up for a brand that aren't available to resellers. And once again, this supports Amazon's focus on building brands and helping them succeed. So this is your brand gating weapon. And again, you get some marketing benefits. You get enhanced brand content, so resellers don't. They can't build a content page or product page that has video or has multiple images down below, expanded content and things like that, which is another area for you to add more keywords and to really build a really good, stellar page that engages the customers. You don't have the ability to build a storefront in the same way when you're a reseller. You just have the basic Amazon storefront, but when you're in the brand registry and you're a brand, you can build a multi-page storefront, you can add video, you can add explainers, you can even link to YouTube videos. The only thing you can't do is link to your website. But when you think about all this stuff that you're putting on there and this enhanced brand building opportunities, again, the customer's not stupid. They're going to see all this, and they're of course going to know your name, and they're going to know what your website is. They may not go to it right away, but they will eventually get there. The other thing you get is a secret link to customer insights. There's a whole world on Amazon for customer insights, so you can see what customers are engaging with your product, how they're engaging. It's really a neat tool. And then you want to think about replicating all your brand assets from your website and social media onto Amazon, right? You want it to be consistent, right? And again, this talks about this really talks to, you're reinforcing who you are, and the customer is not stupid. Again, they're going to see and they're going to understand who you are. You can't advertise your website, but customers are not naive. If you're engaging, they'll find you. So you want to put your best foot forward on your product page, and you want to make sure you know your high value keywords on your Amazon search, right? And the first place you want to incorporate them is into your title. Go to the top 100 items on Amazon and really look at how those guys build their titles. They're keyword rich of the high value keywords. You have, in most categories, everything is different in certain categories, but most categories have a 200 character limit on the title. Use it all. Use 200 characters, right? Make sure you incorporate benefit statements, not feature statements, benefit statements. Customers don't buy features, they buy benefits. They don't want to know that you have all natural ingredients. What they care about is you're going to make their face look younger and get rid of fine lines and wrinkles. Build keyword. So when you look at the bullet points, I think you have 1,000 characters in all 5 bullet points. You build them keyword benefit rich bullet points, right? You may be repeating some of the same statements. That's okay. You're reinforcing over and over again. But remember, when it comes to your bullet points, make them benefit rich. You state the feature, but you highlight the benefit, because customers buy benefits. They want to know how your product is going to improve their life, right? And write great product descriptions. You have 2,000 characters. Use them all. Use at least 6 high-resolution images of your product and have in-use shots of your product. These are going to engage the customer. You're going to convert better on the page, but at the same time, you're also going to drive them into your brand. The first purchase for a new or unknown brand it's much easier than on your own website, and use it to your advantage. Make sure that all your packaging, your inserts, your product labels are all branded and have your website information on it. Most important, make sure that you are communicating with your customers after the purchase. When you set up your product merchandising, think about how this can affect converting your customers. Okay? I'm going to give you an example. This is $1 million example for you. I'm just kidding. In skincare, when we had a skincare line back 2007 when we started, and we never sold the items individually. We only sold 2-piece, 3-piece, 4-piece, 5-piece sets. And I've done this with other things, so I've proven this over and over again that it works. So inevitably, the customers. So think about this when you're setting up your merchandising. So we only sold sets: 2-piece, 3-piece, 4-piece, 5-piece. Inevitably, the customer would run out of one item on the set. So they would email us through Amazon, and we couldn't say, you can go to our website and buy that. But what we could say is, sorry, we don't carry that item on Amazon at this time. Again, customer's not stupid. They have your product, it has your name, your phone number, your website, it's got a label on it. So they would go to the website and then buy the product they needed. So we could easily convert close to 70% of our Amazon customers like this. And we've done it with reselling items, not just brands. We've been able to set up merchandising with competitive items and do the same thing. Again, we're not breaking any terms and conditions. We're not telling anybody to go to our website. We're just saying we don't carry that on Amazon right now. But if they want it, they'll find it. Make sense? So that's the end of time's up, I think, for today. And next week, we'll have part 2 of this webinar. I urge you to join it, because I think you'll get a full picture. We're going to talk about Amazon SEO, organic search, Amazon paid ads, how to use them, affiliate sites, social media, and how to get legitimate reviews. So today we sort of set the foundation, just as I said, on making sure you have a solid foundation to grow your business. But next week we're going to talk about really how to ramp it up, how to use all these pieces together. We'll be very specific about Amazon SEO, how it works in the A9 algorithm, paid ads, what types of paid ads to use, which ones work, which ones don't, affiliate sites, where to post your product to get some revenue off of it, and also social media, and more importantly, reviews. And we'll show you some products that you can use to get legitimate reviews. We don't play the game of trying to get fake reviews. So I think that's it, and we're ready for questions.
Yes, thank you, Phil. So we'll go ahead and take some questions now. Just as a reminder, please be sure to type your questions in the question box in your GoToWebinar control panel. So it looks like we have a couple of questions to start. The first one, how does Amazon think about their own margins when accepting and selling products on behalf of manufacturers?
How does Amazon think about their own margins when they're accepting products from manufacturers? Are we talking being a vendor? Is that what we're talking about here? If you're talking about being a vendor and selling your product to Amazon, it depends on the category you're selling in as to what margin Amazon is trying to get to. But Amazon will always forsake margin to get more sales. And we see this now. We're starting to see this on the seller side, where Amazon is saying, hey, you might consider dropping the price, and we'll, of this product by this much, and we'll drop our shipping rate to you at the same rate. So if it's a 10% drop in sales, they'll drop the shipping charges or their charges by 10%. So Amazon will always forsake margin to get more sales dollars, so I don't know if that answers your question, but again, it depends on the category you're in. It depends on what type of relationship you're talking about, but it also depends on how much volume you can get out of it. So.
Great. And the next question is, how important is below the fold content to a product's performance?
Tremendous. Because, and again, this is what we preach, and we've proven it over and over again. Even if customers don't scroll all the way down, your description, which is below the fold, your A+ content, which is below the fold, your enhanced brand content, which is below the fold, are all opportunities to build high value keyword information into your product. So even if it doesn't pay off necessarily in people scrolling down and reading it, it pays off in the search side. It pays off in the Amazon SEO side. Amazon is looking at that saying, this person has enhanced brand content. They've got a great product description. They've got bullet points, all these things that go into the A9 algorithm. So if you're in a competitive situation with somebody who's got a product similar to yours, and you have all these things done, you've got 2,000 word product description, you got enhanced brand content, bullet points, 1,000 characters, you got 6, 7 images, a great title, you're going to win every time the buy box. Doesn't matter how much he's spending on ads or how low his price is, you're going to win. That's the way the algorithm is. You get rewarded for having providing a great customer experience, and all those are pieces that go into customer experience. So to me, it's very important.
Perfect. I think there might have been some confusion around the amount of keywords permitted on the back end. Is it 250 or is it 1,000?
Well, no. The keywords, there were characters that I were talking about when you start talking about brand title and things like that. Each category is different in terms of characters for things, right? Descriptions are 2,000 characters for the most part. Titles are, for the most part, 200 characters. and I think 1,000 characters for bullet points. On the back end, for your keywords, they don't tell you how many you're allowed to put. It for some reason in the keyword side, it is in megabytes. So what we do is, and if you look, it has to be a keyword string. There's no commas, there's no periods. You just put in your keywords into those 5 slots, but there is no. It's restricted by kilobytes for some reason in that particular one. So it's not about character limit.
Perfect. And then can you talk more about optimizing keywords, bullets, things like that? How do you know what and how to optimize and what's working or not working?
Yeah, that's a great question. And, if you come next week, I'll show you specifically the examples of how to do it. But, keywords are keywords. I don't care, where you are. There's a couple of tricks on Amazon that you can use. But you can use basically, there are a couple of keyword tools that you can implement that are specific to Amazon that'll pull keywords off of your competitor pages that will show you how relevant those keywords are. You can also use tools like AdWords Keyword Planner. It's still relevant, even though it's a different platform, Google versus Amazon, but still tells you how people search. So again, next week I'll show you specifically some tricks on keywords. But the other piece to this is you build your page with the best information you have. You build your title, your bullet points, your description, and then you build your ads. Now those ads, when you set them up in a certain way, they're going to provide you with information. And at the end of a week or two of running, and they're going to be there. All those ads are keyword driven on AMS, Amazon Marketing Services. So you can actually look at that and then go back and optimize your pages again using the information you have at hand now, which is showing you really how customers, which keywords were valuable. And so, like I said before, we never stop optimizing pages. We're always looking at changing pages and adding and optimizing based on more and more information. And that gives us a competitive advantage, always has, over any other competitors who sort of have a set it and forget it mentality. So, but again, if you come next week, you will see specifically, because I will address that point specifically, and you'll see what I'm talking about.
That's a great plug for next week's webinar. And we will be sending a follow-up email to this webinar with the link for next week. So if you have not registered yet for next week's webinar, you will get all of that sent to you following today. So we have a couple more questions that are coming in here.
Sure.
Are white label sales considered reselling?
If you own that brand, so white label is, I take somebody's product and I put my brand on it. That's a brand. You're not reselling, you're a brand. So now you take your brand, which you've white labeled, and you can put that into the brand registry. So it doesn't matter that you don't manufacture it, or if there's a product identical to it under a different brand, as long as you own that brand, then no, that's not considered reselling. That's considered brand building, and it's pretty smart.
Great. What percentage of sales does Amazon take for FBA?
Yeah, like I said, it's generally around 15% is a good number, but that includes warehousing, pick, pack, ship, the box that the product goes out to the customer in, customer service. They're collecting collecting your money. They'll do your tax. They'll collect your sales tax and file your sales tax for you. Where you have Nexus, there's a spot in the back end of your setup where you can put in your sales tax Nexus. So to me, when you think about if you were doing it on yourself, you're collecting the money. You'd have credit card fees, probably 2%, maybe 1.5%, whatever, and then you're going to have to warehouse boxes, things like that. So it's about 15%. But again, I think if you analyze your costs of doing it yourself, your costs may be a bit higher. I don't know, unless you have a supply chain advantage. Again, like I said, if you're a manufacturer, you've got all those pieces in place because you've been doing it for years, and you can do it for 8, 9, 10%, then do it.
Does Amazon penalize you for going out of stock on your item?
Yes, yes. You lose ranking. So in-stock position is a big one, and it's a killer because you're spending your time building velocity, right? So your product is moving and you're moving up in the rankings, and ranking is everything, right? And that's why you can see your ranking. You can see the ranking of an item constantly, right? You want to know, you want to continue to move up into the rankings. Well, if your product's out of stock, all of a sudden you fall back in the rankings. So Amazon is penalizing you by now you've dropped down in the rankings. Now you have to fight and work to get back up again. The other thing is Amazon considers that to be bad customer service. So if you're out of stock, now there's some things you can do proactively, right? You could limit that item, and you can say, I'm redoing it. You can take it off of sale for a little while, not delete it, but just take it off of sale, and that won't. They don't specifically come out and fine you for running out, but you do get it does hurt your seller rating, and it does hurt your product ranking. So.
And do you have any advice specifically for authors who sell their books on Amazon?
Oh man, I just wrote a great post about this. You know, it's a whole different world. I wrote a book, and I wrote a book. Yes, I had something to say, as you can tell. I like to talk, but I wrote a book, and I did it because I wanted to see how to. Because most of the stuff I write, I give away for people. I have a book about Amazon that you can have that people can get for free on my site. But I wrote a book to see how it works because it's totally different. And being an author, um, trying to get your product moving on Amazon is tricky, and it really requires using um, it really requires doing a lot of work off Amazon. Really requires doing a lot of work with vloggers, with some of these book promotion sites that you see. There's probably 1,000 book promotion sites out there, and because Amazon for books, it's not a discovery site. What it is a place to buy the book and rate the book, and all that stuff's important. But when you want to try and drive sales, when you want to try and get awareness of your book, it's really the stuff you do off-site. And again, I have a post on it. You can gladly go to the Hound Dog Digital Marketing site, and up on the we have a blog on there. There's a whole piece on marketing your book. It's pretty interesting. But yeah, marketing a book is totally different. Unfortunately, they don't even give you the same. You don't even get to see the same information. It's very, it's tough. It's tough, but it's doable.
And a couple more questions here in the last few minutes. What are your recommended ways to deplete other resellers on Amazon of a registered brand? Is it really just a waiting game for them to run out of inventory?
No, I think there's two things. One is, you have the brand registry. So if you're in the brand registry, that gives you a lot of power over these people. You want to make sure that they're not using anybody who says, let's say that your brand is uh, uh, New Peptin, right? I have a New Peptin skincare. My brand is New Peptin, and I have another reseller out there who's selling new and putting in their title New Peptin, blah blah blah. I immediately file a complaint with the brand registry and say they're using my trademark unauthorized. I didn't authorize them to use that trademark. Now, you have a problem if you authorize these sellers to sell your product. That's different. But if you haven't authorized a reseller to sell your product, you go after them through the brand registry. You go right to the brand registry. There's a place to file a complaint, and it's copyright infringement, right? Or trademark infringement, and you continually go after them, and you just have to be aggressive until you kick them all off. Then they're stuck with the inventory, and then they'll be like, they'll sell it on eBay or someplace like that, but you just want them off of Amazon.
And we have a question from somebody who has years of experience developing, marketing, and selling educational products and services, but they don't have anything to sell. And so how can they decide what to sell, and how can they get started?
how do they decide what to sell? How can they get started? What to sell on Amazon? Is that what we're talking about? Or if
Yes.
they have educational products? How to decide what to sell is, you know, I guess you'd have to do a little bit of research. I mean, you have to do research on the consumer and who you're trying to sell to. I mean, if it's a B2B side or whatever. If it's a physical product, my advice would be it's not going to cost you anything to put all your products on there, whatever it is, and then promote them and see which ones sell. I'd have to, in order for me to really answer that question, I'd have to look at the products, or I'd have to understand a little bit more about it. But you have to do a little bit of research and find out what the opportunity is for a product. And then getting set up on Amazon is very, very simple. It's not difficult at all. But if you want to contact me, Phil@philmasiello.com, or I'll be more than happy to give you more advice if I knew something more specifically. But I'd have a hard time answering it with just that.
Perfect. And we'll actually share all of Phil's contact information in the follow-up email that comes from this. But I'm gonna have just one final question, and that would be, for apparel companies, what would be a benefit statement example for the product page?
For an apparel company,
Yes.
a benefit statement. Well, it's going to make you look and feel younger, right? It's going to make you look and feel more trendy, or again, apparel is sort of subjective, but it depends on what that type of apparel. But people want to look and feel, right? When you're in the skincare business, nobody cares that you have vitamin A as an ingredient. What they care about is it's going to take away fine lines and wrinkles around my eyes. It's going to make me feel and look younger. So when you think about your clothing, your fashion, what is it going to do for somebody, right? The average woman in this country, I was in the fashion biz. I did this a little bit on television shopping, and the average woman is a size 14. But if you go on television and you start showing your product on a size 14 model, you will not sell a thing. What women, it's all aspirational. So women want to know, how are they going to look? How is this going to make me look slimmer, thinner? How's it going to make me look better, younger, more hip? These are the types of things that you want to look and feel when you start getting into fashion. Those are benefits. The feature is, right, it's made of 100% cotton, or it's made of whatever. But the feature, the benefit is it's cut so that you can, it's cut to make your waist slimming, things like that.
Great. And it looks like we are just about out of time for questions. I know we didn't get to every single one. Phil, is there anything else you want to cover before we wrap up today?
I would urge, you to come to next week's. We'll get into more specifics. I think some of the questions we had on here today will be answered more clearly next week. I just thank everybody for their time, and I hope you found some actionable insights in here. It was a lot of fun for me.
And feel free to contact Phil directly if you would like more information or to discuss your own personal situation. We'll send out Phil's contact information following today's webinar. And we hope that you can join us next week, Thursday, March 29th from 12 to 1 for the second part of this mini series. Thank you everyone for joining us today. Have a wonderful day, and go Terps.
Yeah. What pea pie?